See, when the different frame sizes arrive, the problem that can occur here is, suppose say that, or these are the two links, and in this link, the frame X is arriving, and here frame ABC is arriving. But even though, like for example, if the like I took the example of this is arriving at 12 o'clock and this is arriving at 12.01 seconds and so on. So because of this, this ABC have to wait, even though the, or assume that, like if you consider the priorities, so the priority of the frames ABC is more, or it is much important than the priority of this X, but still the frames ABC has to suffer, or they have to wait until and unless entire X frame has been transmitted. So once the entire frame X has been transmitted, then the frame ABC can be transmitted. So this was the problem that we had. So to avoid this, what we did is we use the concept of this cell. So in this, what we can do, a cell network uses the cell as the basic unit of data exchange, and a cell is defined as a small or fixed size block of information. So instead of having this entire frame that is of X, this can be we can say that it can be considered, or it can be divided into multiple blocks or multiple cells or small cells we can say, and that can be distributed by using the time division multiplexing. So you can see that the X frame that we had, it is being divided into XYZ here, and then we have the, in the line 2 we have the frames like ABC. So here every cell will have a time slot, and based on those time slots, these cells can be transmitted. So first frame X is done, and then A, and then Y, and then B, and then Z and C and so on. So the entire big frame that we had, that is X, that is being divided into smaller uh, cells, and based on the time slot, every cell that is being at the present at line 1 and line 2 are getting a equal opportunity to transmit the cell. So this is what we can do with the cell network. So basically what, how it works. Okay, so a cell is a small data unit that we already know of fixed size. So in a cell, all the data is loaded into identical cells, and those can be transmitted with complete uniformity, with a proper uniformity or predictability, those can be sent. So as frames of different sizes arrive, so basically it is meant for asynchronous. So different sizes of formats, I mean different size of frames that arrive and formats reach the cell network, they are split into multiple small data units. So here we can see that the multiple frames are arriving, and they have been split into uh, multiple small data units called as the cells. So these cells will be now of equal length, and those will be loaded into the cells. So the cells are then multiplexed. Okay, so we know the concept of multiplexing. So the multiplexing technique will be used with the other cells. So like here we have A1, A2, A3, and then here there is no frame, then B1, B2, I mean there is no cell B1, B2 and C1, C2, C3 and so on. So these all cells will be multiplexed with the other cells from the different channel or from the different links, and then the time division multiplexing will be used. So this ATM uses the asynchronous time division multiplexing, and this ATM fills the that time slot with a cell from any input line. Okay, from, there are different input lines, all will be combined, and that will be sent at a one, at one particular link, or this is one link that we have because we are doing the multiplexing. So all these different cells will be combined into only one line, and through this line every cell will get a equal opportunity to transmit it. So the time slot do not remain empty if the channel has no cell to send. So in this case, if this is not having any, like for example, in this case, here there is no cell to be transmitted. But because of this reason, the channel is not empty here. So, but in the earlier case, if this is not there, and if you are giving only for A and only for B and so on, then the C has to wait because there is no uh, cell that is present at this second link. But whereas in this case, A1 will be transmitted and it will go to the line 2. So in line 2, there is no cell, but it will not waste the time. Directly it will jump to the next third link. So here we have C1, and then this process will be continued until and unless it completes all the cells. Those are coming from the different input. The process will be continued. Here there are again empty cells. This indicates that after completing all these cells, there are no cells that is to be transmitted. So this is how the cell network works. Are we clear with this, everyone? Yes. Are we following it? What problem we had in the earlier case, and what is the uh, implementation that we did in the asynchronous time division multiplexing, that is ATM. Or we can also have it as asynchronous transfer mode. Shall we go ahead? Give some responses.
Yes.
So next we will be studying about the architecture of an ATM network, that is the asynchronous transfer mode, how it will do it. So here we have the endpoints, and then in between we can consider this as a switch. Okay, so there are n number of switches, and through that the data can be transmitted. So in this case, we will be understanding some important points, that is what is a UNI, what is a NNI, and so on. So basically, when the cells has to be transmitted from two endpoints, basically we know that this is an cell switch network or the cell switch network, and the user access the devices and are called as the endpoints. So what are these endpoints? Whatever the user accesses the devices, like it can be a computer or it can be a node and so on. So those are called as the endpoints, and these endpoints are connected to through user network interface, or we call it as the UNI. So what is a UNI? Basically, user to network interface. So these are the systems or the computers, we can say. So those are connected to the network, okay, like a switch. So this connection or this interface, we call it as the user to network interface. So the endpoints that are connected through user to the network interface, that we call it as the UNI. So that is a interface between a endpoint, that is like a node or a computer, between a switch, we can call it as the UNI, user to network interface. And similar to that, the switches are connected to each other. So these switches, like where we can have switch 1, switch 2, and so on. So these switches are connected or they are interconnected by using a interface, and this interface we call it as the NNI, that is the network to network interface. And this cell networks are based on the virtual circuit approach. So basically these cell networks use the concept of virtual circuit approach. And how the data can be transmitted, or we can say how the cells will be transmitted from endpoint to endpoints. Like we can see that here we have the connections from this to UNI, and the cells will travel to this by using this NNI, and then they will reach the destination. Again at the destination, again we have this UNI, that is the user to network interface. And because of this, what we can conclude is this, since it is a virtual circuit approach, the connection oriented network, or we can say that this uses the connection oriented approach. So once we talk about the connection oriented approach, the connection establishment should take place, and once the connection establishment should take is taken care or it is established, the cells has to follow the same path or a different path. When we talk about connection oriented, so this cell networks are based on the virtual circuit network or based on the virtual circuit approach, and we say that it is a connection oriented network. So when we say about it as a connection oriented network, whether the cells or the data follow the same path or different path, this we have discussed. In connection,
Same path.
exactly, very good. So in this connection oriented approach, the cells follow the same path. So how these cells will be following? So in that case, we'll be studying about something called as the virtual paths, virtual circuit identifier, and transmission paths. So before going ahead with that, we'll be discussing about the cell. Like we discussed about a frame, what will be the size of the cell? So this is an ATM cell. So the basic unit of ATM network, that is how the ATM network transfers the data. So it transfers the data by using something called as the cell. So the basic unit of an ATM network is called as a cell. And what is the size of it? So each cell is of 53 bytes long with 5 bytes as the header and 48 bytes as the payload. So this is the size of a cell. Like we discussed about the size of the frame, or in case of the Sonet, we discussed about the size. Similar in case of ATM, what is the size? The size of this each cell will be 53 bytes long, and in that 5 bytes are allocated for the header information, and this header information consists of VPI and VCI. What is VPI and what is VCI, we will be discussing. And then 48 bytes of payload, that is our actual data that we want to transmit. That will be basically in terms of frames that will be divided into equal size cells, and each cell can take, or it can load 48 bytes of information. Shubham, you have any doubts? So it can accommodate 48 bytes of information, and remaining 5 bytes is meant for the header information, which consists of the VPI and VCI. So in virtual circuit networks, in order to route the data, that is to transfer the data from one endpoint to another endpoint, or from one place to another place, or from source to destination, the virtual connection need to be identified. So for this identification, it uses two things, or it uses the hierarchical identification will be used. So that we call as the virtual path identifier and the virtual circuit identifier. So before the cell is transmitted, like in this case, if you consider the example, okay, here we have the VCs, the extended diagram we can say. This is the diagram that we have, this extended diagram if you consider, here we have. So these are the VCs, okay, virtual circuit networks, and here we have the VP, okay. So when we say that, suppose say that a cell wants to transmit the data from this to this, so it has to identify what is the path and what is the connection. So here we can say that the pink color indicates that this is one path, and the blue color one, this is another path. So like this, there can be n number of paths available, but it has to consider one particular path, because this is what, connection oriented or connectionless?
Connection oriented.
So when connection oriented, we have the cells has to follow the same path. So how it has to identify which path we have? So for this, we will require or we need to understand this transmission path, virtual path, and the VP. So what are this transmission paths are all about? So consider that, as we were discussing, so connection between two endpoints can be identified by using the transmission path, virtual path, and virtual circuit. Okay, so for this we have VPI, virtual path identifier, virtual circuit identifier. So when consider this transmission path, or consider, we'll discuss with this like an example. So set of all highways that connect two cities, that we can consider it as the transmission path. Suppose say that we want to connect from Belgaum to Hubli. Okay, so there are different routes that are available. So I can go via Belgaum, Kittur, Dharwad, and Hubli I can reach. I can take another route, like I can reach the Hubli via Haliyal, Dharwad, and then Hubli, and so on. So there are different routes or different paths are available. So set of all highways that can connect two cities, we call it as the transmission path. So basically it is a physical connection. Transmission path is a physical connection that can be a wired cable, coaxial cable, or wire connection, or it can be satellite and so on. And then this TP, that is the transmission path, is divided into several virtual paths. So then what is a virtual path then? So a virtual path is like highway that connects two cities. Like we said that to connect from Belgaum to Hubli, there were two highways, or there were two routes were available. So the different routes can be considered as the virtual path. Are we following it? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
So what is the transmission path? Set of all highways, okay, or set of all routes that are available for the transmission are called as the transmission path. Then this transmission path is again divided into something called as the virtual path. So virtual path is nothing but a highway. So that means if a cell considers one particular highway, then it has to follow the same thing. Like for example, from Belgaum to Hubli, you have two routes. One is from Kittur, Hubli, Kittur, Dharwad and Hubli. One is via Belgaum, Haliyal and Dharwad and so on. So if you connect or if you select the Kittur highway, then you have to follow the same path. You should not change it because it is again a connection oriented. So this virtual path is been again divided into something called as the VCs. So those are called as the virtual circuit. So what are these VCIs? We can identify them as the VPI and VCI. So in this diagram, you can understand. Here we have something called as VPI, and here we have the VCI. So VCI, or the virtual circuit identifier, is nothing but the inside the highway there will be lanes. Like you can consider this an example. I hope everyone knows what are our lanes. So if you consider this, you will get to know. So like this, we can see that these are the lanes. One highway, when you select, inside that again there will be lanes. So it is similar to that. So those are nothing but the VCIs. Are we getting it? So this virtual connection is uniquely defined using the pair VPI and VCI. So before the actual transmission takes place in the ATM, so these things we should understand. That is, between two endpoints, we need to identify, or it will identify the virtual path first. And once the virtual path is been identified, then the virtual circuit, that is the VCI. So here we can see that this is the transmission path. In that we have two virtual paths or two highways, we can say. And then in that we have different lanes of the highway. Like we can have VCI 21, 32, 45 and so on. So if you understand in this case, if a cell wants to transmit or if a cell has been transmitted from one endpoint to another endpoint or to another endpoint, so it has to choose the virtual path first. So for that we require the virtual path identifier, and then after that we require this virtual circuit identifier, that is the VCI. So if a cell is chosen, if it is following 21, that is the VCI, then the VPI will be 14, and again the same thing has to be transmitted till it reaches the destination. It cannot change it. Why it cannot change? Why it cannot change the path? Can it change the path or no?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Why? It is again connection oriented. So this VPI and VCI are included in this case, VPI and VCI are included as the header information for the cell, because the cell wants to know, or the cell should have the information, because when we are transferring this information into this, so this is the VCI, like say 21, then what is the virtual path? The virtual path is 14. Inside that the same lane has to be followed, and then it reaches the next switch, Again, it will add the information. The information will be same, then it follows the same, and then it reaches the destination. But in this case, you can see that this virtual path and this paths are labeled with different colors, because the two highways are different or two routes are different. So this is how the cells will be transmitted. Are we clear with this, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So no, we have to remember that the virtual connection is defined by a pair of numbers that we call it as the VPI and VCI. So this is one simple example. Then last part that we will be discussing is about the ATM layers. So the application adoption layer has 4 versions. Okay, so that is AL1, AL2, AL3 or 4 and AL5. So these are the different layers that we have. So basically it is at the bottom we have the physical layer, then we have the ATM layer, and then AL layer. So that is we call it as the application adoption layer. So these are the basic layers we have, and this AL is again divided into AL1, AL2, AL3 and 4 and AL5 and so on. So this is the uh, layer structure or the layer architecture of the ATM. So in this we'll be discussing very brief about AL1, AL2 and so on. So what this AL1 will do? So it basically AL1, it is meant for supporting the applications that transfer information at constant bit rate. So if the information, if you are transferring, if it is in case of constant bit rate, then AL1 can be used. Like for example, your video or voice, for that we can use this AL1. Similarly, we have AL2. So it was designed to support variable data rate. AL1 was fixed data rate, we can say, or constant bit rates. If you want to transfer at constant bit rate, we can use the AL1. If you want to send it with variable data stream or with variable data rate, then we can use AL2. But now nowadays it is used for low bit rate. Okay, earlier it was used for the variable data rate, but these days or nowadays we are using it for the low bit rate traffic and short frame traffic, such as for the audio and fax. For that we are using this AL2. Similarly, we have AL3 or 4. So that was designed to support connection oriented data services, and AL4 to support the connectionless service. So we have, like in this case, either we can use AL3 or AL4, or we can use as per the requirement. So AL3 was designed for the support to connection oriented data service, and AL4 was for the support of connectionless service. And then we had this AL5 and so on. So but basically we have concentrating, or we are taking only for this AL1, AL2 and AL3. Next one, we have this as the ATM layer. So this ATM layer is used for the routing, traffic management, and switching and multiplexing services. So these are the functionalities of ATM layer. That is, it basically provides the routing, how to select the path or the how to select the route, that is the VPI and VCI circuit and all those things. So it is meant for that. And then the traffic management, how to manage the traffic during the transmission, switching, and then the multiplexing. All these are the responsibilities of the ATM layer. And then we have the last one, that is the physical layer. So ATM cells can be carried away by any physical layer like the Ethernet cable or LAN cables or wireless LANs or the SONET. So those will be taken care by the physical layer. Are we clear with this?
Yes, sir.
So this can be asked for a 4 marks. What are the ATM layers? So again, you have to draw this diagram and just 1 or 2 points you can explain it. That is sufficient. Yes, anybody has any doubts? Let me know if you have any doubts. So you can practice all these diagrams. So in today's class, after by evening, I will be sending these PPTs, so you can go through the PPTs and draw all the diagrams, and also I will be sending the notes.